Good evening, everybody. Welcome to your Ruben Amorim press conference reaction. In tonight's video, we are going to be reacting to Ruben Amorim's latest press conference. Now, he's been doing a press conference with the captain, number 8, Bruno Fernandes. So I'm just going to put my phone on low power mode. That's it. Brilliant. And big up to everyone who's locked in already in the chat. Big up, Geezer. It won't be copyrighted. No, because shall I tell you why I reckon I got copyrighted last time? Was because that interview was released on Man United TV before any other platforms. So that's why it got copyrighted. But the last one I did was fine because MUTV already broadcasted it. So no, everything is going to be okay. Thanks for your concern though, Michael. Chelsea FC Footy F1 MotoGP. Yeah, good day night 14. Very good, mate. You know what YouTube police will be like? Copyright is basically where literally you could get a copyright strike where they could give you a warning, and if you repeat it multiple times, you could get like put in YouTube jail. Unfortunately, what happened to my subscriber, MSC Racer. But big up to every single one of you who's like locked in already. Much appreciated. And while you are watching live, make sure you're liking, sharing, and subscribing to this YouTube channel as I post plenty of Manchester United content. And make sure you check out me playing a game of darts, because I just this evening released a video me playing some darts, because I do like some darts. Don't like this Amorim. Much regard, the ball trolled. Love those interviews. Yeah, of course you would, mate. Of course you would. But, you know, make sure you are subscribing to my football channel. Link is in the description, and my F1 channel as well. Because very soon, at some point this week, I am doing a video about Real Madrid, going live to talk about Real Madrid, who got totally outplayed by Liverpool tonight. Honestly, Liverpool absolutely landed it against Real Madrid tonight. That Real Madrid team is just not gelling with Mbappe in it. So I look forward to bringing you that show at some point this week on my football channel. F1 channel, I'll have my driver ratings and team ratings coming out tomorrow. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And Friday, I will have a preview for the Qatar Grand Prix. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Also on my F1 channel as well. So plenty of content to keep you busy. Carlo Ancelotti is a legend, proper Chelsea. He is, I agree. For the last 2 races, should Lewis bring back his white Joker suits to bring back the vibe and memory like what he had in 2018-19 season? Yeah, definitely. I think he should. But yeah, I agree with you. He is proper Chelsea. So right, let's get started. I got the video up already, so we're all good to go. Right. Just Amorim's done the interview with the captain, number 8, Bruno Fernandes. So this is going to be very interesting, isn't it, guys? Right, make sure you can see that. Yep, let's go.
Welcome, everyone, to our press conference for our Europa League game against Bodo Glimit tomorrow. We will start with Samuel.
Hi, Ruben. Harry Maguire and Sandro Martinez back in training. Are they available for the game tomorrow night?
Not Harry. Licha is ready. He didn't stop too much time, so I felt that he is ready. It's a different situation with Harry. We need them both, but
of course, Harry Maguire has been out a lot longer than what Martinez has. I mean, let's get the narrative right here, people. You won't last long in the jungle, Joshy J. Geezer.
They are in a different situation. They are both training. Ari soon will be on the pitch also.
Just quickly also on Lenny Yoro, when do you think he'll be available to make his debut?
He's available to train, but we are working.
Oh yeah, of course he got injured in pre-season, didn't he? So yeah, he's yet to make his competitive debut, isn't he, Lenny Euro? Like the forgotten man recently.
In his fitness is important. He's a young guy. This is a massive club. It's very important, the first image. So we'll try to put everything together because he's a great talent. We believe a lot in him, and we are trying to prepare the best way.
Great talent. I mean, wow, he must think highly of him if he's saying great talent, because we've only really seen him in pre-season, haven't we? Because unfortunately he got injured in pre-season against Arsenal.
To start with Lenny.
Sorry.
Just wondering how much looking forward to coaching at Old Trafford for the first time.
Yeah, everybody's said to me that it will be a special time.
The crowds will give him a good reception, I think, and no doubt about it. He will get given a fantastic reception by them Manchester United fans. Bring back Slabhead, he is missed.
I just want to win the game, just to give that happiness to the supporters. Before the match, it will be like a new sensation, but after the whistle, it will be one more game, and we want to win that match.
Obviously, the win's key, but are you looking to rotate the profile of the players and some of the?
We have to do it. You have to do it, especially in this moment, because we have a lot of games and we are in the
squad rotation is possible. You have quite a big squad. You can definitely do squad rotation.
Beginning of something, they have to feel that they are part of the team. So they are international players. They will rotate, and we will try to manage to try to win every game and not just focus on this game and try to just have an idea, clear idea how to play, and everybody has to be on the same page.
You said on
Yeah, I guess he does. Yeah, he does have a similar voice to Arteta. Your medical staff needs these sacks. Yeah, you could be right. You could be right, Day 914.
Sunday that the players who didn't play were going to train. Do you end up, if you do that, kind of splitting the squad almost, and then it becomes more?
No, they are already split because if Bruno plays tomorrow, he cannot train for 2 days. Even the day before the next match, he cannot train, just slowly or jogging. So they already split. What I'm saying is that some guys that don't play in the next day of the match, they will train. They will have an opportunity to real train, to have a real training session. So that's what I meant at the time. Some guys will play. Some guys have the opportunity to have a training session. In the next game, we will change positions. Some of the guys will fill the game, and some of the guys that don't play will train in the next day. That's all.
Bruno, it's the first time we've spoken since change of manager. You said at the time that you'd spoken to Erik ten Hag and the players had to take some of the blame. Is that still your view? I mean, obviously you're moving into a new era now, but a lot of change in those seasons.
Why are we still talking about Erik ten Hag? He's not the manager anymore. Shut the fuck up and move on.
Has not gone the way that you would have imagined it would do.
Well, obviously, if you change a manager mid-season, it's because the things are not going as you want, and if the things are not going as you want, everyone has to take the blame. Obviously, everyone in their department, but as I said before, it's easy to get rid of a manager than 15 or 20 players or whatever. But now our focus is on what the future can bring.
Sky Sports talking out their arse as usual, comparing Portuguese Arteta to legends like Jose Mourinho. it was an absolute insult. Yeah, you got a good point, mate. I 100% agree with you. I mean, we don't know whether Ruben Amorim's going to be the next Jose Mourinho, do we?
And get as soon as possible and quick as possible on the new ideas of the new manager.
Bruno, I've got a question for yourself. Obviously, your time at Manchester United, you played in many different roles, from obviously central attacking mid to right wing and so forth. You know, in terms of playing in the front three, is there anything in terms of your own personal game that you feel like you may need to change to adapt to the system, or do you think it'll just be a smooth process from that perspective?
You can ask that to the manager.
No, good money. I should let him. He's gone now.
You always have to adapt to different ideas, different positions. Even sometimes playing in the same system, you have to adapt to different ideas of playing on the ball and off the ball, because the manager can ask different things. So it's not difficult for me to adapt in any position. I'm really well aware of what we do in training. I try to absorb everything from every position. Obviously, it's not possible to get everything, but I try to be having an understanding of the game. Also, because being the captain, sometimes the manager can give the message from the bench to the pitch because of the noise or whatever, and so you have to be able to try to solve the situation together with your teammates, and knowing or having the knowledge of every position, you know, kind of most what movements they have to do, what kind of pressure the manager wants us to do, and that's a little bit also my role.
Anton, hi. You talked about sort of getting used to being Manchester United manager. And yet, on your first day, your first game, you've had an apology from Ed Sheeran. How does that sort of show how different and weird it is being a Manchester manager?
Yeah, especially in Portugal. Here you are used to see that, but in Portugal is so different. I think you sometimes overcomplicate things. Was nothing. Was a simple question of say hello to one of the commentators. You call it commentators. So for me, it was nothing. I just was thinking about the game, and I was with Joaquin. Joaquin is a real star in that panel, so so for me it was really, really okay. It was nothing special.
Second Norwegian question.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, Ruben. You described Jose Mourinho as a mentor for you. He's obviously had his encounters with Bodo Glimit before. Have you spoken with him about it or taken any notes?
No, just the results, and I'm expecting a very good team. They can win the league this week, I think. They run a lot, and that is a very good thing for us in the moment. We need to improve that. So we know that in this game we have to run a lot. They have some special players on the wingers. They can play on the pockets very well, and they have
on that thing like in the jungle.
Games. And this is also
always scared to think. He must have known what to expect when you enter into that program. Yeah, exactly, mate. I completely agree with you. 100% completely agree with you.
Because they are winning all the time. So I'm expecting a very, very intense game, a very good game. And I hope to see different things, improve some things that we didn't do so well in the last game. So it will be a good game.
Next year.
Yeah. Hi, Ruben. Bodo Glimt has a very important match on Sunday, and the coach Kjetil Knudsen has said that they might rest some players tomorrow. Do you believe him, or do you think he's bluffing?
I don't know. I'm not thinking about that. I'm just focused on improving our team, winning a game, the first game in Old Trafford. We need to feel that momentum. It's important when you are putting an idea. If you win, it's a big help. So I'm just focused on our team. I know the players and the way the team plays. They will not change because one player is going to be out. So I'm just focused on winning the game and see different things in our squad.
Hi, Ruben. After the game on Sunday, you said to us that the team would suffer for a long period as they get used to you and your methods. From your experience of previous clubs, particularly at Sporting, how long do you think it will take before the players are adapting sort of effectively with your system and your methods and getting the way you want them to play?
It's hard to compare things. I think we are in the different level. You can say that this is a different league, so it's harder. than in Portugal, but I also have more experienced players, and all these guys play for national teams. They just need to increase his confidence. And at the moment, I don't know how to answer that question. I don't know how long, but I will know that with a lot of games without time to train, it will be tough for me, but it will be tougher for them because they are on the pitch and they will suffer a little bit. I will try to help, and we have to manage to win some games and try to increase that idea in the team.
James. Hi, Ruben. You said after the Ipswich game, I think you gave the example of Johnny Evans. He was a little bit confused. He didn't know whether to come and press. So, not specifically about Johnny Evans, but just generally, are you surprised that top players like Bruno and the rest of your squad are not able to work it out in a game situation? To take that example, to go and sort of press a player because that's the obvious thing to do. Does that surprise you?
It's not a surprise. It's different things, and I have to be careful. I really understand that when I name some players, I'm just explaining the situation, and I have to use, to be clear to you guys, I have to use the names of the players. But I don't feel that Evans was not confused. Evans had to make a long run to catch Hutchinson. I was explaining that. Sometimes it's hard to help Matis and then to jump on Hutchinson. I just explained why we had some problems, especially in the first half. So it's nothing about the players, about the idea. It's about me. But they are improving. And they did some things, they did some things that I was happy about it. But we have to improve in different things.
I just have one follow-up on. You say, I understand that you've got an idea and this is how you will play. I completely understand that. So are you saying that there will never be a tweak to your formation? You might play a 4 at the back. You might. No. I mean,
we will do it. We have to do it. And when I talk about our structure, you don't know it very well, but I believe
this 3 in the back. I mean, it could be a genius or it could flop. We just don't know, but we got to give this 3 at the back system a chance, I think, to see where we're at, whether it works or whether it doesn't. Who knows?
We can play in different systems. So we defend more in this game. Sometimes in 4-4-2 because Ahmad was with a left back. So we want to put the structures before, and then we have to play in different systems because nowadays every team changed the dynamics. So we will adapt that. We're just starting with the beginning, and then after that we will start with different things. But I think our structure is the power of this structure is to change the formation in each game.
Question for Bruno, Flex.
Bruno, for you, how difficult is it to take on new ideas, new instructions when you're so used to doing something one way? I'm not saying you're old.
Amorim doesn't seem to be getting on with the media. Ralph Rangnick part 2 incoming. Oh, I hope not, mate. Honestly, I wouldn't be able to cope if that happens. Seriously. I mean, that would be absolutely peak.
But for yourself, you've been playing a certain way. You're very used to certain things, and you're very experienced. So when Ruben comes in and maybe has different demands from you at this stage of your career, how easy is that for you to follow through versus maybe when you were younger and you were less experienced but more open to different ways of playing?
No, I think probably could be worse for the younger players, because for me, I know very well what the players of Sporting were doing. I know exactly what they were doing in their positions. So not because I was reading what the manager was doing there, but because I was watching their games. And obviously, at the stage of, as the manager said, we are international players. So every time we go to the national team, you probably play in a different system. And for example, when I go to national team, sometimes we also play with the back 3. And sometimes I play as a 10. Sometimes I play a little bit deeper. Sometimes I play a little bit wider. So already in the national team, I had that experience of the manager with a formation, like the manager said about we play with the 3 at the back, but then you rotate and then you end up playing different ways. You press them in one way, you defend in another way, you attack in a way, then you always have to move. And in the national team, we do that a lot. So I don't think the age should be a problem, either older or younger. It's about getting the most you can from the dynamics and from the players you have around. And then I think every training session try to get something from the game and understanding what the manager demands from us. But at the end, as the manager said, you don't need to overthink things. You just have to know that we have a base, a foundation, and from there on, you still have to play and do your game.
Neil. Ruben, this club hasn't really had a record.
As Minerals calls him.
Lukaku. Do you see that sort of this?
My stepdad, who's a Liverpool fan, he calls him like Ed the Horse or Bugs Bunny. That's what my stepdad calls him. Mad, mate.
Club needs, because you left two strikers on the bench on Sunday, you played Marcus up front. It's got a lack of goals. Is that the major concern?
No, of course, there is a concern in that, but I think we have to improve as a team because we have quality players that can score so many goals. But you can feel it in the second half. We controlled the possession of the ball, but we were not dangerous. Maybe because we spent the week trying to work on build-up, and then the rest was not work. So we will try to improve as a team, and Rasmus and Josh and Raj will score more goals. Even Bruno has to score more goals. Ahmad has to be better near the goal. All these guys need to improve, and we can score so many goals. We don't need to. You are trying to. If I need a new striker to score goals, we need to improve as a team, and this
on the strikers we got are nowhere near good enough. You know, Højlund, Sirski, both of them poor. We need an elite striker. Let's get the narrative right here, people. But Rasmus Højlund doesn't get given the service, Mr. Joshy J. And what? Yeah? Literally, Rasmus Højlund should be moving around much more, trying to make things happen himself, yeah? Instead of waiting for his teammates to help him. Same with Sirski as well. Let's get the narrative right here. No excuses whatsoever.
Players can score more goals.
Marcus scored 32 seasons ago, which was his career best, and he's slid since then. He's not even in the England setup. Can you see something in him that you can get him back to those levels?
Yeah, I will try to help him. That position is not the best one for him, especially in the game like that. We have to kick with high pressure. We have to kick the ball so many times.
If number 10 goes back to playing abysmal again, I hope you have the minerals, Ruben Amorim, to drop him, yeah? Completely drop him and put him on the transfer market. But you're a Marcus Rashford hater, Mr. Joshy J. No, it's because recently, over the last few seasons, he's been nowhere near good enough. Season before he was okay, but then he petered off. Last season, he was abysmal. So maybe it is time to move on, Marcus Rashford, yeah? Move number 10 on, and he's going to struggle. But you must give Højlund and Sirski time to adapt to the Premier League. Time for what? Time for what, yeah? Literally, you don't get any time in football these days at all when you're a manager or a player, because immediately you are under pressure. Let's get it right.
And he was like fighting with two giants. So we'll try to find the right solution for him as for the other players. But it has to be Marcus, first of all, to try to return to that moment. And then he will have the help of all the staff and all the club and all the fans, because he's a Manchester United boy. But he has to be the first one to really
Good evening to you, Adam.
To want it. Yeah.
But you must know a job, Rashford. Okay, very interesting there. Some interesting questions by the media. And it looks like Ruben Amorim at times is sticking up to the media. They're asking him some silly questions and he's firing back at them. that is what we need, you know. It's like when the ball's ruled and that, he like literally used to make up so many excuses and that, where Ruben Amorim is talking a lot of sense and he doesn't like what the media are saying. I love that from a manager because it shows that they want to be successful in this football club. Let's get the narrative right here, people, yeah? Let's get it right. But big up to every single one of you who's like and locks in this evening. Much appreciated for Ruben Amorim press conference reaction. But, you know, Manchester United have just got to go out there and try and win the game because we're struggling at the moment in the Europa League. Let's get it right. Ruben Astroy won us the last match in the Europa League, so hopefully we're on the right track to recovery. And what is Ruben Amorim's mindset going to be in this Europa League, yeah? Is he going to take it seriously? Or does he rather want to try and get Manchester United top 4? But to me, we're not going to get top 4 in this season because Ruben Amorim has got to work with literally Ten Hag's players. Let's get the narrative right here, people, yeah? Let's absolutely get it right here. So, yeah, but I find it interesting the way he answers the media. The media will hate Amorim quickly, same as it was with Ralph Rangnick. Yep. And look what happens with Ralph Rangnick, yeah? It all went south for him, didn't it? I mean, not that he was our permanent manager anyway, because he's only interim manager, but he said at that time the football club needed open heart surgery, and he got it absolutely spot on. Let's get the narrative right here, people, yeah? He was talking absolute facts. At one time, I thought he was being a hypocrite in that, but he was telling the truth. And I even made a video about it saying he got it absolutely spot on. Because look at what he did in the Euros with Austria. Absolutely amazing. I mean, wow, unbelievable. And yeah, this football club is still in a mess. Yeah, we're nowhere near back to being perfect. And we may just have to accept that this season is a complete write-off. And the best we can hope for is finishing, what, about 5th or 6th? But really, we should be aiming for top 4. Well, really, not even top 4 is our standards. Fighting for Premier League titles should be our standards. Let's get the narrative right here, people, yeah? Let's get it right. Because growing up, I watched Manchester United compete for Premier League titles and challenge the titles and win some as well. All right, we didn't win it every season under Sir Alex Ferguson, but at least we were literally in a fight every season. Ten Hag and Ollie at the wheel were the best Man United managers. I much preferred Ollie, mate, to be honest. Even though he didn't win a trophy, he got us a lot of semi-finals. We should have won the Europa League, but unfortunately, David De Gea missed that penalty, which was unfucking believable. But, you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. But I preferred Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's style of play. To me, the ball's ruled Ten Hag was too pragmatic. Let's get it right here, people, yeah? Where Ole Gunnar Solskjaer played a lot more attacking football at the end of the day. And I liked that. I really did. And this three in the back system, I mean, I will give it a chance, but is it going to work? I'm not too sure. I'm really not. You know, I'm not too convinced it will, but I hope Ruben Amorim can prove me wrong and hope that this back three works and playing wing backs. But I'm a bit sceptical at the moment, so I really am. But let's hope it's a success, yeah? Let's absolutely get it right. Let's have a listen to... I tell you who we'll listen to. Let's have a listen to Mark Goldfish, because he did Ruben Amorim presser and training today. So let's see what he's got to say. Let's go on the United stand a second. Let's have a look, guys. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. And Beth as well. Let's see what she's got to say.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your Ruben Amorim press conference reaction. Lots to get into. We're going to start off what he said about Rashford, but there was all sorts of stuff in there. Bruno Fernandes spoke to the press as well about whether he can adapt to a new system under Amorim. Loads and loads of notes. Only the second match interview for Amorim, so still very excited. Sorry we're a bit late, but they were late, so that made us late. So there we go. But look, I suppose the first place we're going to start off, he was asked about Marcus Rashford. We will try to help him. That position, lone striker, is not the best one for him. He was fighting with two giants. We have to find the best solution for him. He has to be Marcus to return to that moment. He has to be the first one to want it. This manager's not pissing about. You know, we spoke about this morning about data. We spoke about this morning about the demands of Amorim.
Data. Oh my gosh, man. Oh, that reminds me of like in Chelsea. AI based on scouting and data. Oh my goodness me. I hope my football club don't become like that, man. Seriously. Has Goldfish bought some Amorim socks?
We spoke about this morning how Amorim will not be interested in what you've done before. He won't be interested in the number on the back. He won't be interested in the wages. He'll look at the data, he'll look at the performance, and he will make decisions based upon that. It was quite interesting that the journalist who asked Amorim the question about Rashford.
What data? Exactly what data are you talking about? Because I'd love to know what data this is, yeah? Is it mobile data or is it like data on the training grounds? What sort of data? Listening to the data.
Actually referenced 2 years ago when he scored 30 goals. And straight away I thought, I know the answer. If we're going to learn anything from what Pedro told us this morning, I know the answer. It isn't going to matter to Amorim that he scored 30 goals 2 years ago. Because basically, it's about what you do now. That's what it's all about, isn't it? It's about what you do now. And I think that the answer to the question is absolutely spot on. And basically what he's saying is, I've not got a live chat at the moment. So if anybody, Ralph, it's okay. I was just reading about somebody going, the start times are irregular. Yeah, it's got nothing to do with us. We're doing a press conference reaction. We're in the hands of Manchester United and they're late. So I think what you're saying about Rashford is that, look, these questions need to stop.
Yeah, in the hands of Manchester United. Yeah, this channel is the United Stand. My goodness me. Literally, the football club pays this fan channel. Let's get the narrative right here. Washed club and finished. I mean, we got a lot of work to do, mate. Seriously.
I mean, some of the questions were absolutely abysmal. There was a question about Ed Sheeran. You know, we were at the press conference. We didn't even get a bloody question. There was other journalists who didn't get a question. You know, you put your hand up, you get asked a question. He asked him about bloody Ed Sheeran. Get out, never come back. The amount of questions that could be asked, good. And he gets a question about Ed Sheeran. The quality of some of the people they let in there is abysmal, and it has been for years, to be fair. But look, on Marcus Rashford, I think that these sort of questions need to stop. We got updates on injuries, I'll give you that. We spoke about Yoro, spoke about Martinez, we spoke about style of play, spoke about what needs to change. But the questions about PR players need to stop. We used to get Maguire questions every bloody week. Now we're going to get Rashford questions every week. We're all ready for a new era. Can we get a new era of questions in the press conference? Because asking about the PR player every week, and when I mean PR, it's not Rashford's fault. He's just Marcus Rashford, the biggest English talent at Manchester United. Why is Rashford not playing? Why?
That's a good point, actually. He is a bit of a PR player because literally he's one of the most protected players in the Premier League. And these zesty fans always like to protect him, even when he's had a shit game and that, rather than call him out. Get out of here, man. Seriously, what are we doing here?
England not picking Marcus Rashford. And the bottom line is these journalists know why. He's not playing well enough, is he? That's why he doesn't get picked for England. The question is, can he keep getting picked for Manchester United? And that is Ruben Amorim's job. And what he's basically saying is that, look, we will help the player, but he has to find the solution for himself. He has to be Rashford before we can help him. He's got to be the first.
Yeah, that journalist, though, asking the question about Ed Sheeran. What the fuck does it have to do with football, yeah? All right, fair enough, he was at the Ipswich Town game, which is absolutely his choice, but why is that journalist bringing up Ed Sheeran? And no, I am not an Ed Sheeran hater. I literally love his music and that, but come on, this is football, man, for fuck's sake.
Want it, and then we can find the solutions for him. But he said it's the same for other players as well. You could say the same of Anthony. You could say the same of any player that's underperforming. They've got to find themselves, and then the club and the staff and the players will help them. Realistically, it's just refreshing to have a manager talking in a press conference the way we've been talking for 2 years. I've been saying this since the start of last season. Rashford will come back. The Rashford will come back. And the point is, I don't know whether he will come back. Why do people always knock on my bloody door when I'm doing a press conference?
Oh, get out here, man. Bloody hell hurts.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So yeah, I think it's put that in your pipe and smoke it. What is Amorim saying wrong? Publicly, we know what the situation is. You've got to work hard, you've got to improve, you've got to play well. We cannot be a club anymore that looks at the name on the back of the shirt and justifies a place in the team. He said it for the second time since Ipswich. That doesn't suit Rashford. It's very interesting, and I think we almost deserve a virtual handshake, all of us. I said last week, when the rumour was that Rashford was going to start up front, I don't think it'll work. I don't think he's a striker. So it's very interesting that Amorim has again said a few days after Ipswich that that's not the position for him. We've got to find a solution for him. And I believe that solution for Rashford will be behind the striker as one of the two. And I think that's where we'll see him next. Anyway, let's continue with what Amorim had to say. Marus, welcome to the Members Club. You're a legend. Thank you very much. So on injuries, we saw Lisandro Martinez and Harry Maguire back in training today. This is great news because obviously we play 3 centre-backs at the back. Bruno Fernandes was also in the interview as well, so we can talk about what he had to say. I must admit, my opinion on Bruno Fernandes has changed massively, by the way, because of Pedro. I've always liked Bruno Fernandes. He's always been one of my favourite players, but he's frustrated me for the last 10 months, I've got to be honest. And I will never not call it. Man United's more important to me than any player. So if a player I think is not doing what they should be doing, I don't care whether they're a favourite or not, I will call it out. As I've said before, the players who get
then why didn't you used to call out Eric Ten Hag, yeah, when he got things wrong? Instead, you kept defending him when eventually you came to your senses and said, Eric Ten Hag out. You said, get it done, get him sacked and that. And 12 hours later, he was gone. So, yeah, it's crazy, man. Goldfish is Ed Sheeran hater. Where I'm not, you see, I'm actually a big fan of his music, but why are we bringing Ed Sheeran into football for? I mean, surely we're here to talk about football, not to talk about a music artist. I mean, what are we doing here? It's like, get out of here, man. That journalist should be absolutely ashamed of himself.
Favourite or not, I will call it out. As I've said before, the players who get criticised really must have weak mentalities, because when you're being criticised at Man United, it's actually because we think you're good. I've never really given a shit about people like Phil Jones or Rojo or anybody else because I don't actually think they're that good. But when you're talking about the Rashfords and the Brunos and the Casemiros, it's actually because you think they're good and they're not as good as you think they are. That's why they get criticised. But look, great to have these players back, Martinez and Maguire. Martinez is ready to play. According to Amorim, he is ready. So that's a lot quicker than what somebody said last week, that it'd be 2 or 3 weeks. So that's fantastic news. Martinez is ready to go. Maguire is not ready yet. He is just back training. So but he said we need both, and that Harry will be back playing soon. Yoro, he said, basically, I think
Where's Harry Potter now, Ed Sheeran? Yeah, I know. What is journalists doing, man? Seriously.
Heard this right, or heard it right. I think what he's saying with Yoro is that Yoro won't play tomorrow. No Yoro tomorrow, because Yoro is available to train, but is currently working on fitness, and they're trying to prepare him in the best way possible. So obviously Yoro, actually, when you think about it, hasn't played a competitive game since last May. I mean, we're talking nearly 8 months. So I suppose, Maguire's been out for a while, but he has played games this season. Yoro hasn't. So I think with Yoro, he is training, but he's not ready to play. And I do remember Ben Jacobs saying mid-October that they were looking at Yoro for the Arsenal game. That might even come too soon. So it doesn't look like Yoro will be involved unless they're playing a game there. He was asked about what it's going to be like to manage his first time at Old Trafford. He said it's going to be very special, but I just want to win. I just want to win the match. He was asked about whether there'll be rotation in the game against Bodo Glimt. I really liked a couple of things he said actually about Bodo Glimt, so I'll read you them now. He said, we have to rotate. There's lots of games coming up, blah, blah, blah. You'd expect that. But what I really liked was this. We have to rotate because this is the beginning of something. And you have to make everybody feel part of it. Everyone has to be on the same page. And I think that's really important, that we will see rotation. But he hasn't made his mind up on who his favourites are. He hasn't made mind up on who his starting 11 is. So if he's got 23 players, what he's saying is, I have to rotate. I have to use these players. I have to make sure everybody feels like they've got a chance and they're part of it. Because if I just pick the same team against Ipswich that I did against Ipswich, and then Everton, and then in the Everton game, I get a player sent off and a couple of injuries, and then I go to players that I haven't given a chance to, they're not going to be ready, they're not going to be fit, they might not be motivated. So we're going to see a lot of rotation, and I think they're
highly unlikely that's going to happen, Michael.
Last night, I would probably make a couple more changes. Like I probably would expect Mason Mount will play. I think there might be a couple of other players as well. So I think we'll see Rose, maybe even Xerxes will start as well. So I think that's very, very important. He explained a little bit actually about how the squad splits, because he says that if you don't play tomorrow, you train hard on Friday and Saturday. But if you do play tomorrow, you don't train at all for 2 days. It's just light work. So the squad does split, so that if you haven't played, he will run a hard training session the day after. But if you did play, obviously you don't train. So he's just explaining how the squad does split quite a lot. They're not always training together. He also said about Bodo Glimt, which I thought was interesting. He said they run a lot and they've got good wingers. They're also used to winning, and it will be an intense, good game. And we need to improve from Ipswich. I don't care whether they're going to make any changes because they've got a big game on Sunday. The important thing is that we win and build our focus on that. But what he did say is, Bodo Glimt run a lot. This is going to be good for us. I want to play teams that run a lot because we need to run a lot. So we need to learn to run a lot. And I think that's really important as well. He was asked about, Bruno was asked about, a couple of questions for Bruno, actually. Bruno was asked about, good couple of questions, actually. Blame for Ten Hag. Bruno mentioned it in the international break. So he was asked about, whether he still feels that now the manager has been changed. And Bruno reiterated, very good point. He said, look, if you change a manager through a season, then everyone's got to take some blame because it's not gone right. And he said, it's easier to get rid of a manager than to sack 15 to 20 players. I've always said this about Bruno. I can be critical of him. Of course I can. And I know everybody else can. But he never stops running. He's never not available.
And rightly so, because at times he's been absolutely abysmal. Like, recently he's been decent, okay? So I will give him a little bit of credit. But recent times, you know, say like last season and that, at times absolutely abysmal, and kept going on at referees as well. But Mr. Joshy J, he's a captain, so he's allowed to go on at referees, Mr. Joshy J. But it was way too much, yeah? And not a very good role model for like younger generation fans. I mean, let's get the narrative right here, people. Everyone has said Lee Gunner is in the mud because Arsenal's scary and stunning after one game. Yeah, mad and crazy.
And I sense that even though he deserves some criticism, absolutely, I sense he feels the frustrations that you do. Because for him to still be saying, you can only sack a manager, you can't sack 15 to 20 players, that's very self-reflective for a captain to say that. And I think what he's saying is that, look, the manager's always going to get sacked, but actually there probably should be a load of players getting sacked as well, but that's never going to happen. And he probably wouldn't mind that happening, because for him to say that twice, I think there is a frustration from his part that he is sometimes surrounded by players that don't have the availability, the ambition, etc. And that's not to give him an excuse, because he hasn't played particularly well in this calendar year. But I don't think his dedication, ambition to the cause are the issue. I mean, there was a question about whether there was a question about I think it was from Usman, actually, who was there with DAZN, who's been on the fan forum, and he said about change and whether the change concerned him having to play differently. And he said, he basically said that you always have to adapt. And it's a new system, and as the captain as well, the manager will sometimes be talking to me, and that's part of my role as well, which sometimes we don't think about. He was basically saying that as the captain, I've got to understand the system, because the manager will only be able to talk to me sometimes. So I have to understand what the back three's role is. I have to understand. He didn't say this, but
I mean, in some ways, yes. In some ways, no. Because I do like having my own space, mate.
Building on what he said, because what he basically said is, my role is my role, but then as the captain, the manager might speak to me, so I need to understand everybody else's role so I can communicate it. And it's an important thing that we probably don't think about, is that you look at Rooney, I don't think he was the same player as the captain. Maguire wasn't the same player as the captain. Bruno's not been the same player he was as the captain. But we forget that when you're not the captain, you're responsible for yourself. And when you are the captain, you're responsible for yourself and everybody else and the referee, and you're talking to the manager, and you've got to tell everybody else what's going on as well. So I think that what I would say is that it's definitely something that we have to take into account. And what it means is that Bruno has to understand how the back three plays. He has to understand what the striker's role is so that he can communicate with that, which is obviously important. But he also elaborated on that, because obviously I think that, look, it was basically saying, look, I think it might be harder for some of the younger players, because although Bruno is 30, and some people would say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I'm not calling Bruno a dog, by the way. It's a saying in England. He said, I think it might be harder for some of the younger people younger players to deal with it, because they.
Well, look at that Amal, who's 16 or 17. Has he struggled? No. Of course, younger generation players can handle it. If they're managed right and trained right, of course they'll be able to cope with it.
I watch Sporting, and I watch Sporting because I like Sporting. I came from Sporting, so he's like, I know how Sporting play. Also, as an international player, you go and play for Portugal, I might play as a 10, I might play as a 6, I might play as an 8. Sometimes we play with a back three. So I'm used to I'm used to playing in different situations. I think the issue with Bruno is discipline. I think we in this community don't think that Bruno can't play as a false nine or as a right winger or.
And also picking up silly yellow cards as well. And that's why he's got to cut back on as well, the captain number 8. Oh, get out here, man.
As a 6 or as an 8 or as a 10. I think we all think he can play those roles. The problem is he sometimes plays them all in one game. And that's chaotic. And we've seen that. The issue with Bruno is he actually is a remarkable player. As Pedro was saying this morning, he's a remarkable player. He's a great player in the sense that he can play so many different roles. The issue is he does it in one game. He doesn't play one role. The issue for Bruno is discipline. If Amorim says, I want you to be a number 10, you have to be a number 10. I don't want to see you in the number 6 position. If I put you in the pivot, you have to stay in the pivot. And that is where Bruno has to trust his team. Because we've all played, well, if you were good, I've played the game. When I used to play up at lunchtime school, secondary school, we'd play from the age of 11 until about 16. Every lunchtime, we'd get a ball and go and play on the top fields, 5 against 5. And sometimes you'd have a few players on your team that weren't as good as the people on that. Well, I wouldn't just stand up front. You'd run everywhere because you'd want to win. So you'd track back, boundless energy at that age. Bruno reminds me of what it's like when you're on a team that's not as good as the opposition team and you can't trust the players around you. So you're playing up front, centre back. Sometimes you rush goalkeeper, you roll it out to yourself. That's what Bruno plays like at Man United. So to get Bruno's discipline, he's got to be disciplined, but he's also got to look around the team and go, I trust them. And that's going to be the issue, I think. This question about Ed Sheeran. What a waste. What I've just wrote Ed Sheeran ... Somebody.
Oh, here we go. This one's going to be interesting. On to the Ed Sheeran question, are we? Oh, wow. Mark, you never played the game.
He got a question quite early in the press conference and asked about Ed Sheeran. I mean, they probably driving back now or on the train home going, oh, wow, I'm such a comedian. Waste of time, mate. Absolute waste of time. If you want any help next time, pop a question in the United Stand and we'll give you 50 questions that actually people want to listen and answer to. I mean, Ed Sheeran. Ten Hag. Amorim was...
There you go. He slips up. He said Ten Hag instead of Amorim. Oops.
Asked about that, what he said after the Ipswich game about suffering for a long period. How long? Great question, this, actually. I don't know who asked it. It was one of the journalists, but it was... you mentioned suffering for a long period at the start of the week, after the Ipswich game.
Stop hating on Ed Sheeran, Goldfish. Facts.
How long? We actually had this question, me and Beth were talking about it last night. So if we'd have been allowed to ask a question in the press conference, we would have asked this question. So it's a very good question. Amorim said, hard to compare Sporting because it's a different league. However, there are more experienced players here than I had at Sporting. And we need to grow confidence. But at this moment in time, I'm not sure how long it's going to take for us to get where people want us to get, because I haven't got the time to train, which makes it harder. So what we've got to try and do is win and learn. And this is the truth. It's exactly what Emery did at Villa. You go in as a good coach and you don't have a pre-season, you don't have time to train. So and look, this is the most intense time. I actually think it would have been better for Amorim if he'd have come in for the Chelsea game, Leicester game, and the what was the game before the international break? Who was that?
Why not in the start of the season? Oh yeah, of course. He's not going to say that, is he? Because he kept on defending Eric Ten Hag, where majority of the fans wanted him out. He always found a way of defending him. I mean, what are we doing here, man?
Leicester, wasn't it? Yeah, Leicester. Chelsea, Leicester, Leicester. So I think it would have been good if he could have come in for that time, because it's so intense now. Like, there's no time to take any break. It's a game every 3 days, 4 days, every 3 or 4 days. And I agree with him. It's we were talking about it on the morning show. How long is it going to take for Man United to compete for a title? I quite like 2028 as a line in the sand. Could take longer, could be quicker, but how long it's going to take? Very intelligent for Amorim to say, I'm not going to give you any time. I'm not going to give you a date because I don't know. My system, and he spoke about his system. I'll talk about that now. The system is going to have to be learned. It's really difficult because he's not even starting really. If you take into account a couple of things he said in the press conference, he can't train the players properly because they're always recovering from games and there's always a game. They've got to learn the system in real games. Now, you compare that to pre-season, loads of training, loads of games to try stuff that don't really matter. So he can't do any of that. And that's obviously going to be very, very important. But also, that would still be hard if he knew his best 11. You still got to train them and they've got to learn. But he doesn't even know his best 11 either. So not only is he training them and getting them to learn in real time, he's also learning about the squad in real time, which means he will make mistakes. He will pick Christian Eriksen and Casemiro as holding midfielders, and it'll be a mistake. But he'll have to learn about it in a competitive game, which is why, as much as I thought Rashford up front and Eriksen and Casemiro was...
Of course you do, because if you get something wrong, you should be held accountable. You know, accountability is the best ability. Let's get it right here.
Mistake in the midfield. I'm not going to be critical of it because, as he said, I've got to make everybody feel part of it and I've got to learn about everybody on the job. He could have done that in a pre-season friendly against bloody Swindon, but he can't do that. So this is even more...
Wow, that's a bit random mentioning Swindon, but yeah, obviously a team in Wiltshire. Not all that far from me, actually. Swindon Town Football Club.
Reason for patience, and it's even more reason to silence the media that try and put the pressure on Man United. Because although he might think Rasmus is his striker, he's got to try Rasmus, Rashford, Xerxes to make sure that's the one he wants to go with and to give everybody a chance. So there's a lot of that. J-Deep says, speaks volumes then, but every United captain is just too busy focusing on everyone else executing the tactics than his own game. Low footballing IQ indeed, says J-Deep. And Patrick says, Patrick Lynch, thank you very much for your super chat, says, Bruno feeling he needs to help everyone is part of the issue. He should be confident in those around him so he can play his game. We need more leaders than just him out there. You know what? I don't understand. I've said this so many times. I think you've absolutely nailed it, Patrick. I don't understand these United players who feel that they get criticised unfairly. I think with Bruno, I've always been very...
Right, I think that pretty much covers it there. So, yeah, interesting. Very interesting. I'll be back tomorrow with a live watch-along because I will be doing a live watch-along to this game. So, yeah, looking forward to that. And I'll be doing a match reaction as well, and I'll be doing an emergency meeting. So, but what I might do is I might combine the match reaction and the emergency meeting together. So, well, we'll wait and see. But, yeah. Right, let's have a look. Who's live, who I like? Let's have a look, shall we? Let's have a look. Who's live? Is there anyone online who I like? Let's see who's live. Redirects, here we go. Say less, guys. Say less. Lee Gunner is live. Emergency meeting. Sack Angelotti and get him to Arsenal. There we go. Bosh. What time is that, geezer? 8 o'clock at kickoff. So I'll probably go live about 10 to 8 or something. Yeah, 8 p.m. kickoff. Let's have a look. Yep. Yeah, that's the redirect setup. So, yep, make sure you head over to the Gunners channel. You say that Mr. Joshy J sent you over. But thank you all so much for watching. And, yep, I'll see you tomorrow night for the live watch along. Thanks for watching. Good night, all.